we're actually early, which means I might have to start this song over again. But it's a Wednesday, and the Wednesday, that's a Jerry Agar Wednesday. See, we do this 9:30 start when we're going to be on the radio because we don't want to take away from you. It's true. You're important. Oh, I gotta open up Kick. Not used to this Kick business yet. I should be opening it up here. Kick.com. Got to do it again. I've got to buy some time. Two-factor authentication, yes. If you're new to the channel, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I go live to answer your traffic and police questions. And we do it with Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010 every other week for about 30 minutes, which is what we're going to be doing here shortly. So, oh, my audio is coming through. I don't want my audio. Okay, but we are going well. Hopefully we don't have issues with our audio or with syncing, because yesterday's show we had audio sync issues. Hey, T.Cop is on TikTok. Crystal, good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. We are early. It's 9:30 now, which is when I should have pressed go, but I wanted to get all my stuff and things ready and perfect. And that extra 2 minutes really gave me the opportunity to do that. Hey, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I go live on social media from, well, usually 10 to 11 weekdays. And occasionally when we're on the radio with Jerry Agar, 9:30 to 11, because it gives you that extra time so you don't lose anything. Because I don't want to take away time from you to be able to give time away to or share time with the Toronto listeners, the listeners of the Jerry Agar Show on News Talk 1010. So we do this 30-minute extra thing, and it works out really well. And then I drink a lot of water, because an hour and a half of nonstop jabbering, well, you need water. Hey, Danny and Michael, people joining in. Hey, if you're watching on, well, regardless of where you're watching, welcome. Now, we are on a whole bunch of different platforms, like a whole bunch. Let's start by saying we're on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we're now on Kick as well. And that other logo, which is on screen, is for our space where we can actually chat offline. But the big thing is, if you're on Twitter, you can't ask questions, and that's because it doesn't work with our system. I just realized I didn't turn on the Instagram live, so let's do that. Instagram is connecting. So if you want to ask questions and you're on anything other than Twitter, you can. But if you're on Twitter, I suggest you go to trafficcop.ca and use the links to jump over to one of the other platforms that we're streaming on, because then we'll see you and we'll hear you and we can interact. If you've got questions for that you want to ask on the radio, you can use the telephone number to call into the studio, 416-872-1010, or text Jerry Agar at 71010. And I got the studio, News Talk 1010, what's going on? I'm not hearing you. But they are now linked in, and we will hear from them shortly, I'm sure. Control, are you there? As soon as they're ready, we'll hear something. Hopefully the audio is coming through well for you, but we are not hearing you over here. Dominic, drink hot water is a suggestion for speaking for an hour and a half. Okay, good to know. I know I shouldn't be drinking fizzy pop. No sparkling sodas or cans of stuff. Big T says it's only 9:30. You're early. I'm early because can't hear you for some reason. That's weird. Audio check for everybody else. Can everybody else hear me? Is audio working for the streams? I don't know why the audio is not working for you. Maybe check the audio outs if you click on the gear. This is one of the reasons we come on early, because we don't go on for another 2 more minutes with Jerry. But I don't know why we can't hear you or why you can't hear me. Let us see. just want to double check everywhere else and checking TikTok to make sure we have audio working there. That's a problem. Hello, I see you. Hang on. I see you. Don't know why you can't hear. Typing to them. Check the gear. Icon. It's always nice to have technical difficulties. Ensure your output going to right card. Okay, trying to sort this out because we only have another minute or so before. Oh, they're reconnecting. How about now? Is News Talk getting any audio this time? They disconnected and reconnected. Make sure you're in Chrome if you're having an issue. But we don't know why there's an issue. And we don't hear you either. But I can't diagnose the issue on your end, unfortunately. But nothing's changed here. And if everybody else is watching, I hear the audio coming through on Kick. And let's see here. TikTok is lagged. We've been experiencing lag for now 2 days. Any better? Let's see here. Any better? Let me know, News Talk. Because I see you, but I can't hear you. Oh, and everything is working now. Perfect. Good to hear. All right, so if you want to call into the show, you can do that by calling 416-872-1010 and speak to Control and get your questions answered. Of course, you can also text them at 71010. You can also put messages in the chat. And, oh, they just disappeared. That's a problem. I don't know where they went. Hulking 800 Steel says, how are you liking the smoky sky? I'm inside. It smelled like barbecue outside yesterday or campfire. So as much as it was, you're back. Are we having connection issues still, or is it? What was the News Talk? Let me know if we are green light and good to go. And Regional TO says, I'm on time this time. You are on time this time because we are early, because we are connecting with the Jerry Agar Show on News Talk 1010 momentarily, hopefully, if everything continues to go well. And if you are watching on the magical TikTok, know that I am going to do my best to pull questions there. We'll go back in time after the segment with Jerry is done, and we'll get your questions in there. I'll try and grab a couple of them for when Jerry says, hey, what's TikTok saying? And there's JD right now. Okay, we've got everybody in the party now. Good stuff. So questions will be ported over because the boss man behind the scenes is in action. Okay, and Queen Cat went and checked everything on Twitch, and audio's coming through perfectly there. I think we're good to go. So we'll get, do you want to test audio Control to make sure that we can hear you? I just want to make sure that when Jerry comes on, I actually hear him. Let's see here. Oh, apparently air quality is going to get worse tomorrow. Regional TO is sharing the news that it's going to get worse. Yeah, I was listening to More in the Morning, and he was saying that we have, I guess they did a sampling, and our air quality is now worse than Lahore, India. If I'm not misquoting, at the moment, based on the pollutants that are currently circulating because of the fires, that's serious. Okay. Here's a question we should certainly chat. Any motorcycle question is always good to ask when we're on with Jerry because he's a motorcycle rider. Can you feed me audio to test? I have not heard anything. Okay. I sent them a message. Hey, if you're watching and you want to ask questions, we'd love to hear from you. That's what this show is. We are currently on a number of platforms broadcasting. We do this every single day, well, at least weekdays, from 10 to 11. Of course, when we jump on with Jerry Agar, we jump in early so that we can still chat with Jerry and his audience without taking away from our audience. So you get an hour and a half today. And we like it like that. It is It's a long stream, but it's a good stream. And momentarily, we should be joining Jerry, but we don't hear anything yet. We might be having technical difficulties because there were some issues with connectivity earlier. If you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. And if you would like to ask questions, please throw them into the chat. If you're on Twitter, please jump over to one of our other platforms because we can't actually hear from Twitter. Waiting for confirmation. Usually it's the 9:35. We're a little behind now. It's 9:39. So don't know what's going on, but waiting for news. Should I put on music? Do we want to dance? I don't dance. What do we have here? We've got some folks jumping in on the Instagram where we have a separate device streaming there so we can be everywhere. Hello? Okay. Let's see what's going on here. I'm actually going to the News Talk 1010 website. iHeartRadio. Listen live. I want to see what's going on. Hey, share the live stream. Like the live stream. We like it when you like it. We're watching an ad. Audio is not working on our end for some reason. Okay. We may not be going on with Jerry for some reason. What could be the reason? And you've checked your settings. Do you want to give me we've moved on, try and bring it up for 9:45. Okay, well, we'll keep doing our thing and then try and come. I don't know what to tell you to fix it, though. Let's go back to this. One second. Okay, hang on one moment. This is, how many headsets can you wear at once? This is the question. Okay. Hanging in. In the meantime, get your questions in so we can have stuff to jump on as soon as we get through the confusion of getting this live stream to work properly today. Good morning, Emma. Permo has a question. Fantastic. It's so funny. It's like you're reading my mind. I was making a TikTok video about this earlier. The question is about police being able to use cell phones and laptops when they drive. We'll talk about that in just a few. And I sent a message over to News Talk to see if they want to give me a call. So I've got my phone headset on, so I'm ready to take calls, and I'm multitasking here like a madman. James, good morning. Okay. I feel like I want to put background music on. We've tried this before. It's not great. But it does, cover the, let me see here, background music. Chill. This is what I used last time, and you either loved it or you hated it last time. Is this horrible or is this acceptable? This is chill. I don't know if I like it. Too much bass? I don't know how chill this is. So the station is disconnected and are likely trying to reconnect. But they're definitely having some issues on their end. And hopefully we can move past them because I haven't spoken to Jerry since I was in Scotland. It's been too long. It was just last week, but it feels like forever when I was on vacation having fun. And T-Dot Cop says, I'm looking well and rested since the return from vacation. You know what? I have been sleeping a lot because I'm tired. There's a 5-hour time change where I was 5 hours ahead, and you'd think just bouncing back would be easy. Apparently, it's less easy than you'd think because I'm tired. I go home and and have a nap. But I'm going to bed early and I'm getting up early. I get up at like 4:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. It's an early start. Okay, good morning to Leo, my wife, who's watching and also recovering to time change. It doesn't appear that the radio station is calling, so we'll just keep on trucking and see what the day brings. Okay. If you are watching and you've never seen us before, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer who goes on to social media to answer your traffic and police questions. And very often we do this with Jerry Agar. This is the first time where their side can't hear me, and we don't know why. Usually when we have technical issues, it's my side. I'm going to blame them this time. It's going to be on them. I don't know. It's working for everybody else. So I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Before we get into things, I'll take the opportunity to discuss Vision Zero Enforcement Team. By the way, does anyone really hate the background music? Because I can turn that off. Looking for some confirmation. Is it terrible? Maybe, possibly, maybe? Okay. We'll leave it on until I hear that it's terrible, and then I'll turn it off. The deal is that Vision Zero Enforcement Team goes out every day to make a change in the community, to change driver behavior. And they are specifically looking for drivers who are engaged in driving behavior that leads to serious injury and death. They're looking for the big four. That's speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. Today, they are spending their efforts focused on 32 Division and 42 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, Rouge, Scarborough. Oh, and we have News Talk back in. Let's see if it's working. Hello. Any better with audio? Are the issues still there? Let me know. And feel free to give me a call, News Talk, if you like. I'll send you the number again. And worst case scenario, you can call me on the telephone. This is it may just have to be a telephone. We have to bridge the internet with the telephone today. At very least, we can try. No idea what's going on as to why it's not working. But I don't want to... Oh, wait. Did I figure this out? How about now? Any difference now? No, it shouldn't be anything. Okay. News Talk. Hello? Is it working? No working? Can you hear me? It's very awkward when things don't work out. All right. But I don't hear from them, and they're not typing anything. We'll get back to this whole concept of Vision Zero in a second. Oh, I don't think we're having any luck today. This is disappointing. The music seems louder. Why is it so loud? Okay. Akela, good morning. No, it's okay. All right. Aaron wants to know, is it Aaron? Am I pronouncing that right? Wants to know about straight pipes on the Honda Civic. Funny you should bring up that. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Are we calling it quits? Thoughts? My phone no ringy? I hear nobody. And I don't know when it's appropriate to give up. I'm not a give up kind of person. But I've got no input at all from control. So I don't know what's going on. Bear with me for a few minutes. We're going to give them a couple more. They're probably in commercial break, possibly, maybe. I never got past the ad. I closed my phone. Let's see what's going on here. I don't actually hear anything from Jerry. Oh, I hear something now. Unless that's music. It might be really odd sounds of music. I'm not used to this background business, this background noise. If you're watching, my apologies for the disjointed start to the show. We're having technical difficulties trying to connect to Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010 so we can chat. But we've now rolled through the first segment, and we may or may not be able to jump into the second segment because we're now 3 minutes into that one, and we haven't been able to connect. But they're in the room. We just don't hear from them. All right. Where was I? Because I started, just as I jumped back in, I got all excited. I stopped talking about Vision Zero enforcement team. So let's just assume that it's not going to happen today. And if we hear them in our ears, that is magical. But until then, I'm going to finish doing what I was doing. So the neighborhoods that I discussed when I said they're in 32 and 42 Division, we're back to Vision Zero enforcement team. Those neighborhoods, Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, 42 Division of Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, Rouge, Scarborough. Those are neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. And we let everybody know where we're going to be. Now, we're not telling you that we're going to be at a particular intersection, hanging out, giving tickets so you could avoid us. We're telling you general areas. But the goal is that we announce our locations so the people who live in those neighborhoods know we're there and helping. We're not doing the only work there. Divisional officers are always there enforcing laws and responding to calls for service. We're just helping out. And we have officers who are not going to get called away to other things. They're there specifically for enforcement purposes because we have drivers all over the city who are choosing to do things that are not safe. And we need to stop that. Okay. I think it's pretty clear that News Talk is not. Although their connection is there. It's pretty clear. We're not going to have them on the show today, which is sad. Maybe we can try again another time. Soon. Do I remove them or do I just leave them here? Put them in the background. Put them in the foreground. Okay, we're waiting. Let's see. We're jumping in. We're moving on. We've given up a whole whack of time. So apologies and thank you for your patience if you've been waiting. Is the vote to leave the music on? I saw my wife said it was okay. Is it still okay? Let me know. And I mean that from everybody. We've got a whole bunch more. We got Michael and TC and Sharon and him and Aaron. So let's go back to, we started discussing Aaron's question. And that was, have to cancel for today. The audio issue on our end. Okay, so there's a computer audio issue. Cool. Sad, but it's all good. No worries. Catch you next time. I'm just glad it's not my fault. All right, removing the guest. We're moving on. It's sad. I was looking forward to it. Okay, we've got. I said we're going to start with Aaron. Where's Aaron's question? Aaron. Trying to find you. Oh, you were way down the list. Okay, well, you're getting the bump to line. So Aaron just got his straight pipe on the Honda Civic. What are the laws for car noise? Well, if you're in Ontario, and it's pretty important to specify this because lately I've been getting a lot of questions from other provinces, and I got to look up what their laws are in order to answer. And I'm really an authority here. I'm a police officer here in Ontario, not elsewhere, and laws can be different. So when you ask questions, if you would be so kind as to maybe add where you're from, it does help because I don't want to give you bad information. It's important that you get the information that's appropriate for where you are. Now, when it comes to car noise, there are laws or offenses for unnecessary noise. If you're operating a motor vehicle and you're just creating an unnecessary amount of noise, which is pretty open-ended, you can get a ticket for unnecessary noise. If you have a straight pipe, which is absolutely illegal because you must have a muffler and you must have a resonator, or at least it must be furnished the way that it was built and designed to be run. If the vehicle was manufactured before the laws dealing with emissions and exhaust systems was in play at the time, it's a 1970s vehicle and it doesn't have whatever year it was for exhaust, well then it's allowed to operate, it's grandfathered. But if you have a vehicle that is modern and you chop things out of it, you're going to make it illegal. So you're going to have a vehicle that has no muffler. Well, no muffler gets a charge, $110. The noise, $110. The no resonator or improper exhaust system could be an additional $110. If you start dealing with emissions control issues, it's no set fine. It can be much more serious. Don't do it. It not only sounds obnoxious, you're polluting, and we talk about pollutants in the air being smoke and soot, but noise pollution is a major thing. It's a huge complaint for residents of the city, and not just Toronto. We hear complaints from all over. Everyone, well, nobody wants to hear your car except you, and people who like the same kind of stuff. So what is the test? How do you know if it's too loud? You should know if it's too loud. If you've modified it from stock, it's probably too loud. If it's more than 74 decibels, which is what the stock pipe should be maxed at, it's going to be too loud. But people say, well, what about Lamborghinis, 12 cylinders? They sound loud. What about motorcycles? They're loud. Reasonable. Has to be reasonable. You could take your stock pipe on your Honda and still get a noise violation because you're revving the engine high, or you're blasting the stereo, or you're honking your horn for no reason. Reasonable for the safe operation of the motor vehicle. Okay, scrolling back. What do we got here? Is it legal? This is actually one of the first questions that I should have jumped on. Is it legal for motorcycles to lane split? We'll speak to specifically Ontario. And Ontario, the answer is no. The answer is you cannot lane split. You cannot lane filter. What are the charges that are available for us if we are seeing you do this? Well, we could charge you for careless driving. At the minimum, we could charge you for, I don't know, stunt driving possibly, dangerous driving, which is criminal possibly. And I say possibly, maybe, and depends a lot. And it's because it really depends on the observations made by the officer. If everything's hunky-dory and everything is reasonable in terms of speed, you're still violating the law and you may get a lesser offense. But if you're putting lives at risk by doing 100 kilometers an hour between stopped cars, that's something that I'd be looking at for stunt or dangerous. It's just ridiculous. No one needs to go fast when no one else is, and nobody needs to be driving between two motor vehicles. If you look at even in places where it's legal, like Los Angeles, California, because it's a state law, you can lane split in California. And you know what the California Highway Patrol puts on their website? They said, although it's legal, it's very dangerous and use extreme caution. It just shouldn't be done. Okay. Do you go by weight or age when it comes to car seats? It's generally weight. It's weight and size. If you look at you just reminded me. There's an extra link I need to put on my link tree. But let me pull this up here because I want to show it to you. Ontario car seat. There's one on SIPSAC, but that's not what I want to show. That's not what I want to show either. Come on, where's the one I want? Car seat safety. Of course, when I want to show it, I'm not going to be able to find it. And I can't. All right. CPSAC.org is the Canadian, is the website that I want to send you to, which is the best thing for things. Because tip of my tongue, I can tell you when kids can get out of a booster seat, because it's 80 pounds, 8 years old, or 4'9" in height. But it's like it's under over 20 kilos for one. Come on, can I find it? Oh, they do have a link for it. Hang on a second. Resources, caregiver resources, checklist and ages and stages. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, download this. Come on. I probably downloaded this 900 times. Okay, that might be a mild exaggeration. Is it going to work for me? Computers aren't cooperating with anybody today. I think it's just a thing. No, it wants me to open up Adobe. Come on. No cooperation from the computers today. Here we go. That's the wrong one. When things go wrong, they go really wrong, is what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm finding. It's an everyday occurrence sometimes. Just pick your time. All right, let's try this again. Rear facing, Okay. Is this going to work now? Infant seats. Let's try this. Don't want to open up Adobe. Oh, this is so totally not the one I want. Okay, my bad. I'm moving on because otherwise people are going to lose their minds. But it's the information is available on the Ontario website, Service Ontario. It is there. I wish I memorized all of them, but I don't want to give you bad info. So go to SIPSAC. I'm going to put the link on the screen to cpsac.org, even though I've said it. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah, that's the place to go for all the details, and they will also put you in touch with a technician. They may charge a fee, I don't know, but they are a great resource. Moving along. Oh, everyone's being so kind and putting up the links. Is that what I was seeing? Or am I making it up and you're not as kind as I thought you were? I thought I saw links. I'll give you credit. You guys are awesome. Okay. Boom-ba-doo. What do we have here? Can truck pass slow vehicles from the left lane? It depends if they're allowed in the left lane. They may not be permitted there. It depends on the signage. So when you say truck, do you mean big rig? Do you mean pickup truck? Because passing, which cannot be done above the speed limit, by the way, not legally, can be done in any lane, assuming it's safe to do so. But can they pass in the left lane, which is what you're talking about? Depends if they're allowed in the left lane at all. Wondering if someone can get a ticket for tint. Where is this? Things are starting to pop in. This is great. Can I get a ticket for... Oh, here we go. Wondering if someone can get a ticket for tint if they are visiting from the States. It's legal there. Tint is legal here. It just depends if it's unsafe. And could you get a ticket? Yes, you could get a ticket. If you have blacked out windows that are absolutely illegal, you could get a ticket. Generally speaking, if you're from somewhere else and it is legitimately legal there, you probably won't get a ticket. But that doesn't mean you can't get a ticket. Unsafe is unsafe. And just like you can't operate a motor vehicle in Ontario without insurance, even if you're from somewhere that doesn't require insurance. Not all states require insurance, or at least they didn't always require insurance. So if you came to Canada, you have to have insurance. And technically, you can get into big problems here. If my spouse is not on the insurance, but she's driving car with my permission, is that an issue? It's not an issue from a police perspective. It is an issue for your insurance perspective. So your insurance company, if they are a licensed driver living with you and not a primary driver on their own policy, they need to be licensed. They need to be added to your insurance to avoid having them deny a claim. That's the problem. They could say, no, we're not going to let you, we're not going to pay you in the event of a collision. Now, would a police officer charge your spouse for not being on the insurance? No, that's nothing to do with us. It's legal, and she could borrow somebody else's car. The problem is that you live together, I assume, and that is the issue. And here's a question that came up earlier from Permo. Are cops allowed to use their cell phone and laptops when they drive? And the answer is yes. Police, fire, ambulance, operators of police vehicles are permitted to use their communications devices, which include, or at least they're exempt from the handheld communication device laws. So they are permitted to use their cell phones and laptops when they drive. Is it the goal to play Space Invaders while we drive? No, that is not something that's permissible. It's for work purposes, legal and legitimate lawful purposes. Is it for ordering pizza? No, it's for getting vital information in relation to investigations, ongoing calls for service, stuff that is important to public and officer safety. So our goal is to not do it unless it's absolutely necessary. Now, people say, well, you have computers. Why do you need to use your cell phone? Well, for many police officers, the cell phone is the computer. We have computers and we have connected officer phones. So our connected officer phones do what the computers used to do. Not all vehicles have computers. So they're in a situation where they have to use their device. Some police officers have the telephone in lieu of a police radio. It depends where you are and where you're working and who, what position you're in. Depends. Everything depends. Julia has a question about roundabouts. If roundabouts are safer, why don't we have more of them yet? Well, I imagine that a lot of that has to do with money, infrastructure design, shutting down roads, redesigning them. I guess it's just a matter of time that we don't get them, or we don't get more of them. But it's not something that was really big here It started in Paris, and no, that was the diamond, the Virgin Diamond thing was back in, I think it started in France. But roundabouts have been around for a long time. I'm starting to see more of them in new developments. I think they're interesting. My problem with them is that people have no idea how to use them, and that causes confusion and could cause more danger because you're supposed to yield to the people already inside of the roundabout. And yet I feel like it's a game of chicken whenever I'm in a roundabout to see if the person who's approaching is going to actually yield to me or not. And very often they don't, which means I am now in a strange position of, do I stand my ground and drive into them, or do I slow down? And I'm already not going quickly. They're not very bright. People need to hone their skills. And again, Toronto and the GTA are not big on roundabouts, but there are more coming. I couldn't speculate. I just assume there's going to be more. My speculation as to why they're not more already is because the roads are there, and redesigning roads is costly. Okay. James thought I'd come back from Ireland with a wee bit of an Irish accent. I don't think I did enough speaking there. I did a lot of walking and carrying and photo taking, but I didn't really get immersed into the culture enough to pick up any accents. Although I have a tendency to echo accents, which was really terrible. It's terrible because people could be offended. It's just one of those things that I when I'm in New York, I start talking like a New Yorker, and I want a bottle of water, and I get into my car, and I almost unconsciously start picking up those things. So I don't want to offend anybody, and that's why no, that's not why, but good to hear from you, James. What happens if you get caught with no insurance driving? Well, it's bad. Driving with no insurance, aside from incredibly, the words I want to use are all really offensive. It's not smart. We'll go with that. You are entirely liable for everything that happens, and you could kill somebody or hurt someone, and not only are you going to rob them of the ability to be properly covered for the damage that you cause, but you will be responsible personally, which means if you own something like a house, you may no longer own that house. That said, if you are driving without insurance, you probably don't own a house, because people who are responsible, they tend to do well, and people who are irresponsible or don't pay insurance, probably less so. It is $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 6 months in jail on the first conviction. So, is jail a thing that happens a lot? Not very often, at least not in my experience. But it is not something that you need to find out about. Just pay your insurance. And if you can't afford insurance, don't drive. That is what alternative modes of transportation are for. If insurance is the problem, don't drive. I know somebody who was sued after driving without insurance, not intentionally. They were the victim of a scam where an insurance company was selling fake slips, or at least a person who posed to be an insurance company was selling fake slips, and they never had a policy. So they were on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I don't even know if they finished paying it off. How do I drive a car home after I buy it from Facebook? Lots of words. Let's take a sip of water and regroup. Well, you must ensure that it has insurance on it. If you have unattached plates that belong to you that are valid for use on the road, you have up to 6 days to use them. But if they're attached to another vehicle, you cannot use them. That is where you want to get a temporary plate from the Service Ontario, and you could use that. But it must be insured. That's the most important part. Insurance, important. Scrolling through the ton of questions. Thanks so much for everyone who's asking questions. If you are new to the channel, please follow us. Please like, subscribe, because we're on so many different platforms. Whatever you're on is great. And if you want to visit us on the other ones, that's great too. We're now on Kick, which is a new platform. A lot of people are apparently upset with Twitch. We've been on Twitch for a while now. Now, we don't get paid for being on any of these platforms. We do this so we don't get a negative impact for the fact that they're apparently not treating their creators very well, from what I'm reading from Mr. Beast and so on. But Kick has come out, and it seems to be the new thing. So we went on to the new thing, and we're now on Kick. And if you have to check it out, we right now I'm experimenting using a voiceover cop channel, but we'll create a traffic services channel too. So wherever you are, please follow us and share us and tell people about us. And if you're on TikTok, please tap that screen till your fingers go numb, because it really helps the algorithm know that we're worthy of being shared. And that's what it's about, getting our information to more people. And hey, if you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, know that we're hiring, and we'll get into some discussion about careers in a little bit, along with delving into the TPS website. What is this? Michael wants to know about how many collisions must one man have before he can learn to drive, and how many deaths will it take until he knows. I don't know the context of what we're talking about. But there's the whole idea of investigating, charging, and holding accountable the drivers for whatever they're doing, whether it be speeding or running red lights or failing to maintain their vehicle in a safe manner. Well, we charge people to hold them accountable, to hopefully motivate them to do the right thing. We get the ministry applies demerit points to help track and motivate drivers, and if they don't get motivated by the notes and letters they get, those love notes that say, hey, smarten up, you're a terrible driver, they do that. At certain points you develop or you trigger thresholds where they get letters saying be a better driver. But you may also just get a suspension, and it's even faster if you're a learner. You need, if you get a ticket that carries 4 demerit points as a learner, that's someone with a G1 or G2, you lose your license on a suspension. You don't have to wait until you hit a giant threshold. 1 ticket of 4 points could get you a suspension. Okay. So I already said hello, greetings and salutations to Akela, but I saw you again, so I'm saying and acknowledging you again. What do we have this? Okay, here's a question about pedestrians from Shane Grant. If there is a pedestrian sidewalk on one side of the road, are pedestrians allowed to walk side by side on the side of the road that does not have a sidewalk? That's a question I've never thought of before. So you're walking on the sidewalk, so you're walking where there's no sidewalk, you're on the road. It's unsafe to do that, but I don't know if it's illegal. I don't have an answer for you. I've got to look it up and phone a friend and whatnot. But it's a good question. I certainly wouldn't suggest it. If there's an available sidewalk, you should use the sidewalk. I see runners on the tarmac or on the pavement as opposed to the concrete because it's better for them when they're running, apparently. Is it safe? No. And there's rules about if there's no sidewalks. I'm going to say that if there's a sidewalk there, you should be using it. Trying to get my thoughts and words at the same time. If we're talking about side by side, though, it's more dangerous. But I don't know if it changes anything. If there's a sidewalk present, I think both parties should be on the sidewalk. Let's see here. Can I have LED lights on the roof and on the seats? LED lights in my car. Oh, so interior lights. You can replace. LED is not illegal or anything really different. It's just a lower power source. So you can exchange all of your lights with LED. I say that except for your headlights. They must be approved proper headlights. I would avoid changing your headlights. But there's all sorts of upgrades to LED that can be done. I would avoid the cheap stuff from a particular, from overseas that aren't rated. I hear about a lot of malfunctioning LED clusters that either destroy the housings or heat up and melt things and just don't work well. So get it from a trusted supplier that has a great warranty. That's what I would do. But I've seen lots of success with LED replacements, and many of the modern vehicles are coming with LED interior lights. If someone does 200 kilometers an hour on the 407, what is the fine? Well, first off, it's stunt driving at a minimum. So that means you're going to get a 30-day suspension. You get a 14-day impound. So you're looking at over $1,500 minimum. But the fine, it's $2,000 to $10,000 on your first conviction, up to 6 months. Is it up to 6 months in jail? Am I conflating things? Hang on, let me pull it up. I think it is. But you know what? I'm like out of practice. I was away for 2 weeks and things just weren't being repeated. You need to repeat things. Perform stunt. Here we go. $2,000 to $10,000 or up to 6 months in jail. or to both. And there's also an additional 1 to 3 year suspension. Now, on a second conviction, that goes, this is the dollar amount stays the same, up to 6 months in jail stays the same, but your suspension is 3 to 10 years. And on a third or subsequent conviction, it's an indefinite suspension. But there's more, because 200 kilometers an hour could be, depending on the driving conditions, could be criminal dangerous driving, that just changes the dynamics altogether. It's not just about the dollar amount at that point. And I would probably charge you with both. I think it is absolutely unforgivable to do those speeds. And if you think it's okay, you really should be on the track, not the road. If you choose to be on the road, well, you deserve what comes your way in terms of charges. Moving from Ontario to Saskatchewan, full license, do I need another exam? If you have a G-Class license and you're changing and moving between provinces, you should be good to go. You just exchange it. Now, if you go to trafficcop.ca, there is a useful link at the bottom, and it says if you're moving within the country or if you're moving to the country and you're driving, click there. Well, that's the one you should click and check out what the requirements are. But it should be a straight trade. If you've got a G, you should be getting the equivalent there. Okay. Is it legal for cars to park on the sidewalk in Toronto? No. If you're talking about pads, there are places where you can apply for pad parking, and some businesses have that. There are legitimate parking spaces that are on the pad. That's not the sidewalk. Sidewalk not legal. And Aaron will be here, possibly maybe sometime, and we'll get into parking stuff later. But that is not legal. And motorcycles too. You know, so many times we have free motorcycle parking on Green Pea street parking. Why would anyone park on the sidewalk? And yet they do. Are daytime running lights a legal requirement or just nice to have? They are a legal requirement for new vehicles to be to have them. If they burn out, you have to replace them. I've never seen a charge that says, drive without daytime running lights. Is it a great thing to have? Sure, it increases your visibility. It's good to have, and it's a requirement for the vehicle to be certified, as far as I know. But there's no ticket for having a daytime running light out. Okay. Quick opportunity to pause on questions and discuss questions we haven't talked about recently, at least not recently today. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, you are in the right place, because we're going to talk about that for a minute or two. We are currently hiring all sorts of different positions. And if you go to tps.ca/careers, you can have a look at all of the requirements and information related to our employment process. Police constable, it says lateral hire. That's if you're a police officer elsewhere. Special constable is what I started out as. I was a court officer. Parking enforcement officer, uniformed members who go out and issue parking notices or parking fines. Tickets. Yeah, tickets they issue. Communications operator are 911 folks who answer the phone when you call for help and then pass it over to a dispatcher who actually tells police officers to go to your location to help. Now, if we're talking about civilian jobs, and we have many, just like now, there's 11 currently posted. Benefits administrator, intermediate analyst in IT quality assurance, senior analyst, intermediate technical analyst in AV, clerk in the accounts payable department, parking enforcement officer we saw on the last page, payroll operations lead, senior analyst, senior programmer, solutions architect, communications operator. These are our positions available, and they're not always available. So if you see something you're interested in, go read about it. Go apply online. And don't miss the cutoff, because once they go, they're gone for an undisclosed amount of time, being that we have positions. When we fill them, we don't have positions available. But but police officer is something we are absolutely hiring for. So if you've got interest in becoming a member of the policing community, serving the general public and keeping the streets safe, well, that's a job you should be applying for right now. It's a great place to work. And if you're not a Toronto person, you want to, police services all over the country are hiring. And if you missed the news, recently things changed. Where I had to pay to go to the police college, you would not have to pay, because that, I think it's almost $15,000 to pay for the Ontario Police College. That is something now that the Ontario government is absorbing, because they want to find new people that may have believed that cost of education was a barrier. No longer a barrier. Cool things. All right. Scrolling on down. Oh, here's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. Howard from Ontario says, is it illegal to ride an e-bike or e-scooter while intoxicated? So here's a funny thing. E-bikes and e-scooters are motor vehicles. They are motor vehicles by every definition except when they qualify for a specific exemption. So an e-bike, which is effectively a motorcycle, is not capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour, has a motor no larger than 500 watts, and a couple of other things. Well, then it's deemed to not be a motor vehicle for the purposes of the Highway Traffic Act. An e-scooter, similarly, if it's legal and maxes out at 24 kilometers an hour, is deemed not to be a motor vehicle under the Highway Traffic Act. I'm specifying Highway Traffic Act because under the criminal code, they're still motor vehicles. So if you are under the influence of drugs or alcohol and you are operating one of those devices, you are going to be arrested and charged the same as if you were driving a car or truck or other motor vehicle because it's a motor vehicle. In fact, even a mobility scooter or golf cart, motor vehicle, the only thing that isn't a motor vehicle is a wheelchair when it comes to the criminal code because it's an exemption. You're considered a pedestrian in a wheelchair. Interesting things. And yes, too many people trying to avoid or still drive or operate intoxicated, impaired, and they use these devices thinking they're okay, or they got their license suspended because they were, charged with impaired driving in a motor vehicle in a car. So they get these things thinking they can continue dealing with things. Well, no, you'll be arrested and charged again. Okay. Talked about this, talked about that. My e-bike doesn't have pedals, but still goes the stock speed. Is it illegal? It is illegal because one of the requirements is that it has functional pedals. So if you have removed or they are damaged or lost or stolen or whatever the case is, pedals are not there and you cannot pedal that e-bike. It is not an e-bike. It does not qualify as an e-bike. It reverts to the magic is gone from legislation. You don't qualify, thus it's a motor vehicle and not allowed on the road, even though it doesn't go faster. So get it fixed. Or if it doesn't have any, now there are some that are motorcycles that have a little limiter switch, and that little limiter switch gets kicked off, and then it does the right speed limit. But if you can press a button and it's no longer limited, well, guess what? It's capable of going over, even if it's limited to 32 kilometers an hour. So be very careful, because I would not accept a button limiter or a on-off limiter. You could turn that off, thus making it possible to go above. There are e-bikes that will do 80, 90 or more kilometers an hour. There are e-kick scooters that will do those speeds. They're capable, even if you push a button, then it doesn't go faster. It's still capable. What is this? What is the best way to report vehicles passing loading school buses? It's a bug problem in my area. It's a bug problem? Or it's a big problem? So in Ontario, they've recently changed the Highway Traffic Act to allow photo enforcement to take place. And some jurisdictions have already started installing cameras on buses so that if someone chooses to pass a bus while the lights are flashing, there could be a ticket issued electronically, just like our red light cameras. I don't believe that's happened in Toronto yet, but it's something that's happening or going to happen. How do you deal with it? Well, you report them. You can, if you get their license plate, you can make a report on a Toronto Police website, on New York Regional Police websites. They have the ability to make reports about specific vehicles and neighborhood complaints. I know it's a big problem for many. A good friend of mine was having issues in front of his condominium in Toronto where huge number of people were not stopping. So they spoke to the local division and they set up to have officers during the loading and unloading, the pickup and drop-off times, and they were just handing out tickets like candy. And that's what people need. They need to get these huge tickets. So I remember what the price tag is? No. Will I look it up? Absolutely. School bus. I think it's like $600, $500. Come on. Where's the big numbers? Big numbers, big numbers. Where is it? Pass school bus. No. School bus and crossing. Come on, where is it? $490? It's $490. There it is. $490, and 6 demerit points if you do it. I don't know what the if there's demerit points when it's automated, but it really should. I'm tired of these freebie tickets where you pay $500 or a few $100 and you get away with something. It should be full demerit points. They do it in Australia, they do it in the UK. Photo radar, red light camera, all these things, and you still get the full points. That nerd dad wants to know, what is the rules surrounding wearing headphones while driving? Don't they impair your ability to hear the noises of the road? So in Ontario, and it's different in every province because some will allow you to cover one ear but not both. In Ontario, there's no rules about covering one or both ears. You can wear headphones while you drive. Is it a good idea? Well, no. If you are hearing or if you have the ability to hear, having that extra information coming in, screeching tires, revving engines, that sort of thing, could save your life. Sirens. Really important information. But as my nose is itchy, as you may know, people who are hearing impaired, who do not have the ability to hear, can be licensed to drive. That's because hearing isn't a requirement for the Ontario driver's license. There you have it. Is it better to listen? I think so. But what about listening to your music loudly? If you turn up the stereo, you can't hear anything either, even though there's no headphones on. So loud music in general. Why do we even have stereos? Maybe we should take... Police cars never had stereos. Maybe we don't need stereos. That would bother people. You need to be able to listen to your podcast. Listen, even talking to a passenger in your vehicle, listening to the stereo, listening to the radio, these are all distractions. These are all things that impair your ability to safely operate your vehicle to some degree. Doesn't mean you can't do it, just some degree. So that nerd dad, you're allowed to wear them. It's just less safe and not ideal, but still legal. Okay. Oh, hey, here's something to think about. You're wearing headphones. You don't pull over for a police car, ambulance, fire truck. When we finally get you stopped, or if somebody else pulls you up, you can certainly be charged for the action of not doing what you're supposed to do. Okay, looking for questions I have yet to answer. We're going to be doing this until 11 o'clock, which is in 35 more minutes. If you are not currently subscribed, if you currently follow everyone but me, well, you should be following me too. And when I say me, the Toronto Police Traffic Services Unit, that's what this channel is, and this is what we're about. We're about answering your traffic and police questions so that you know more, so that you don't get charged with things, so you don't put your life or the lives of others in danger, doing things that you should have knew about, you should have known about. Yeah, use better grammar, better choice of words. It is something that we can help you with. We can help educate. We're here for the education, to share knowledge. It's very often, it's not easy to get your questions answered. Not always easy. Okay. My bike, Justin says, my e-bike goes over the speed limit factory with the governor on and with pedals on. Is it illegal? Yeah, if your e-bike goes over the speed limit, the limited Ontario 32 kilometers an hour, if it's capable, even if you never go over the speed limit, it is illegal on the road. Are there hybrid or electric motorcycles like really quiet Harley? Yes. Harley makes one. There's a number of motorcycle manufacturers that are all electric, and there's more coming. And those are motorcycles with VINs that can be registered and insured. The problem is e-bikes that are modified to go fast don't have the braking system, don't have the same level of safety, and they haven't been tested by Transport Canada. So unless they meet the requirements as e-bikes, they're not allowed on the road at all. There's a whole bunch of motorcycles, and with one wire, they're 90 kilometer an hour motorcycles. Here's a good question. Are suicide knobs legal for driving use? Hayden Hall wants to know. Suicide knobs, or there's another word for them, I can't think of it right now, but it's a knob that basically gets attached to the steering wheel, and it allows you it was for old manual steering back in the day. They're not specifically illegal. They are intended for use. I grew up thinking they were illegal, by the way, but I did a bunch of digging, and they're specifically sold for folks who have one arm. They have physical impairments or disabilities that prevent them from, safely using the car without them. They need it. They're perfectly legal in that particular situation. Are they illegal for everybody else? I don't think so. I don't think there's a charge to lay. Are they considered safe for everyone's use? I wouldn't put it on my vehicle unless there was a really good reason, being not because it looks cool or it's funky. Old manual, no power steering, giant steering wheels, they were using them back in the day. I can't find any law. If you can find a law, if someone can find a law that says they're illegal, I'd love to see it. There's a bunch of different things. Like, what if you put hand controls on a car, and you don't need hand controls, but you put them on? Is it illegal? There's a group that actually does training for people who are amputees or have physical, again, disabilities that require them. They do training for them. Could you possibly have issues with your insurance company if you got into a collision with those things on? That's a separate discussion. It's a modification to the vehicle. All for interesting conversation, but I've not found a charge delay. But I can imagine problems if it led to a collision. Anyway, interesting discussion. I have to revisit it. I have to go find my file. I was doing a whole bunch of digging and then saw a squirrel. What's this? Oh, a rewrite of blowing. Okay. Why did cabs have two licenses, blue one and a black one, meaning what? I think what you mean is the taxi cab license. So if you're on the back of the vehicle, you would see the Ontario motor vehicle or vehicle license plate, and then you have a taxi cab plate, which is the tiny one that they also have to display. I think, if I'm not mistaken, driving instructors also have plates like that. Michael says, steering knobs are good for trailer reversing, but not necessary. Have you seen some of the technologically advanced, fancy-schmancy reversing systems? The Ford F-150 and many others have a system that uses cameras and markings on the trailer that allow you to steer the trailer with a knob. Like, it's really neat. I don't even want to know. I know how to drive with a trailer. I know how to back a trailer up, and automating that would probably mess me up. So I don't want to know. But it looks cool. Yeah, trailers can be really tricky trailers. Craig Lehman wants to know, making a left on a green light, is it legal to enter the intersection? We talked about this, I think, yesterday. And the answer is yes, you can enter the intersection on a green and charge the intersection, wait for that opportunity to turn. You have to be careful that you are not stuck in the intersection, because if you enter and you have nowhere to go, you are now in violation of failing to clear a signalized intersection. You are also, going to create all sorts of traffic issues, but you can enter. Now, if you're going straight through, this is a higher risk, because if you're going straight through in traffic just because you're really anxious to go to the next, you want to get to the next level, it's like a video game, and you're worried that somebody else is going to steal your spot, well, then when the light changes and you get stuck, again, you're in violation. Oh, Kayla's got a phone appointment. So he is sending a message, which I will share for later. He wants everyone to have a great day. And he just reminded me to talk about the Harley draw, which I will do right now. I say that like I've actually prepared it, but it's on screen, but I have to flip a switch and press a button. Harley Raffle, harleyraffle.ca. If you would like to support a magical organization called Special Olympics Ontario, which does so much good in the community, and we have magical people who need your support. 1 ticket for $20, 3 tickets for $50, and 8 tickets for $100. I was going to say athletes. That's the athlete word just was stuck. So we have athletes, and they're amazing individuals who really could use your support. So if you have the ability and you would like to win a very expensive motorcycle, low cost of entry, $20, $50, or $100. I, of course, bought the $100 package because it's the best deal. I like deals. If you know me, I like deals. Okay. Boom. I was wondering, Turk wants to know. Hey, I was wondering if I have my temporary G2 and I forgot the paper in my other car, is it a violation? Yes. That is your driver's license. You would use it in conjunction either with a photo card or without, but if you don't have your license with you, you are eligible for a ticket, a charge under the HTA. It's $110. And that is bad. It's all bad. It's something as simple as just make sure. First of all, never store your driver's license or any identification in your motor vehicle. Your ID should be in your wallet, in your pocket, or in your bag or purse or wherever on your person. Yes. Here's an interesting question. That just came in from Ray. Ray, why do pickup trucks have black lettered plates? Pickup trucks are trucks. They're built on a truck chassis, different than unibody construction vehicles, which would be personal vehicles, and it's a truck plate, and they are differentiated. They're not necessarily commercial plates, and what used to happen is we had a sticker that you were issued that said, commercial plate or truck plate for personal purposes. I don't know why that was important. In any case, it doesn't seem to be something that's currently issued anymore. Okay, here's a question from King Kong. I'm wanting to become a police officer. I'm 19. Should I do police foundations or go to the academy? When you say go to the academy, I get the impression that you are possibly in the United States. Please clarify if you are, because it's a totally different situation in the United States. The way the hiring process goes in Ontario, and it could be different in other provinces in Canada, but in Ontario, you get hired by a police service who then sends you to the academy. You cannot go to the police academy or the police college without a host agency. In the United States, you can go to the academy without having a job, without having a police job, and then you'd go and apply to police stations or police departments after you graduate. Totally different way of doing things. Need to know where you are. If you are interested, if you are a Canadian resident or a permanent resident or a citizen of Canada, you can apply to Toronto Police or other police services in Ontario, and information is available at www.tps.ca/careers. Everything you ever wanted to know and more. Let's see here. What did I just press? I pressed something. Velvet64 says, what's the best way to report cars passing school buses that are loading kids? We talked about reporting tps.ca/ actually it's tps.ca, and on there's an online reporting entry. It was the way to go. Does traffic laws apply to cyclists? Is helmet mandatory? Moody wants to know. So here's the deal. Traffic laws, most of them, apply to all vehicle users, and a bicycle is a vehicle under the HTA. So yes, traffic laws do apply. Things like stop signs, red lights, careless driving, dangerous driving, things like that apply to cyclists. And there's a whole bunch of things that are related to that. When it comes to helmets, they're mandatory for persons under the age of 18. Once you're 18, you're entitled to make bad decisions. And I say, if you don't wear a helmet, that's a bad decision. Many people in the cycling community argue with me ad nauseum that helmets don't stop collisions. Well, I don't suggest that they do stop collisions. But when you're in a collision, or you trip and fall, or you slide out, or because your tires lose traction, or whatever you want to say, if you fall and you hit your head, a helmet is the best way to protect it from a potential brain head injury. Simple. Just simple. So, should you wear a helmet whenever you are on a bicycle? Absolutely. And if you're on an e-bike, it is mandatory regardless of your age. Okay? You have a choice on a pedal bicycle. You do not have a choice as an adult on an e-bike. And it confuses a lot of people. I see a lot of people on e-bikes not wearing helmets. Please wear helmets. Okay, scrolling back, a whole bunch of stuff popped in. It messed me up. Can I drive my 32 Ford with no fenders, or is there a fender law? Depends on what was required at the time of manufacture. Having exposed wheels, if it was made with fenders, it needs to have fenders. If it was manufactured, no fenders, it's grandfathered. But there are mud flap and fender laws. You can't have exposed tires for most modern vehicles. You can't, and there's reasons for that. Rooster tails, when you're blowing, debris and water up, it blinds other drivers. But there's also the issue of if you're involved in a motor vehicle collision, or if you touch a pedestrian, you'll suck them into the wheel. It's dangerous. So it really depends on what the laws were when that was manufactured. People do a whole bunch of things they're not supposed to do, and very often with classic cars they get away with it because there's confusion. So it depends on what it was manufactured as. What is this? How would an officer know if I'm using a temp that doesn't belong to me if I don't need a photo ID with me? Well, we'll take steps to verify your identification. So this is in relation to a temporary G2. Well, first of all, we have the ability of looking at your picture that was taken when you got your license. We can see that. So if you give us a temporary, we'll go back to the car, we'll pull it up, and we'll get your photo. Don't use somebody else's license. It's not smart. Okay. I just got reminded that I didn't open Discord. I got to put a link for this on my screen. Discord. Opening. Can an individual use themselves as a traffic cone to hold a parking spot for friends and family? This is a private property situation. Can someone stand in a... There's really no... there is really no law that would apply on... It's not... The HTA applies to some degree on private property. There are certain laws. Here's a question for the good sergeant.
Good,
Are you joining us?
I'll go find him.
Yeah. Come join us. We haven't seen you on camera in a while.
I haven't been. Well, you haven't been around, so.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. We tried to connect with Jerry Agar. They had technical problems with one of their computers, so we had a whole mess of trying to connect with them this morning, and it didn't work out.
Oh, that's too bad.
It is unfortunate. So the question is, can an individual use themselves as a traffic cone to hold a parking spot for friends and family on private property? It's a private property thing.
I've called people pylons before. They act like pylons, but is it recommended? Is it courteous? Is it right?
It causes an escalation that often leads to a violent encounter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if your car's not there, if your car's there, park it. But why would you jump out and run over and stand there?
It's to steal it or make sure that nobody else gets it. And it really does make for some pretty unusual police calls on occasion.
Yep. So what can happen from there? Is there anything wrong with it? Is it against the law? No, unless the property owner says it is.
Well, if a representative of the property says get out and don't do that, and you don't do that, you can be trespassed.
Absolutely.
So that's a different way. It's prohibited activity. In the United States, people have been shot over parking spots.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I've seen YouTube videos, malls, Christmas time, stuff like that. People doing this and punch ups, and don't escalate it to that.
it's just not worth it. You know what? Breathe and move on. Cole has a question. I have 2 kids under 2. What exactly are the rules for them to sit in the front seat as they get older? So, back seat is best. No question about it. Back seat is best. We suggest until the age of 14. But is there a law that says they can't be in the front seat? No. There are laws that require them to be in car seats or booster seats at different sizes and ages. But once they hit 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9", whichever one of those 3 they hit first, they're legally permitted to sit without a car seat or booster. But we'd still prefer to have them in the back seat just because there's airbags, dangerous. It can be dangerous for shorter folks, adults included. And if there's no other place, let's say if a pickup truck or a 2-door vehicle, there is no backseat. Obviously, you need to be able to transport your family. So there's no ticket, but it's not the best choice.
Yeah, safest spot is in the rear. Definitely. It gives more of a crumple zone ahead of you and less flying objects, like windshields and stuff like that. So absolutely.
I see a bylaw officer using their phone while driving. Can I report them? If it's city bylaw, I don't know if they're exempt or not. For police, fire, and ambulance, they're absolutely exempt. Anyone operating a police vehicle is exempt. But I don't know about city bylaw people.
You know what? I would say report them anyways. It's a risk. Anybody using their cell phone while operating a vehicle is a risk. We have an exemption because we have to perform our duties, and that risk may be higher depending on what we're doing. If we're going to a life-threatening call or we're gathering information about suspects or stuff like that, it's very, very important that we get it and we get it in a timely manner. But
ideally,
to just use it, no, that we don't want a higher risk for officers, for us, for anybody.
For sure.
And sure, I would say yes, you can. Whether they're exempt or not could be investigated and determined at a later time.
Sure, because when we have exemptions, it's for lawful purposes. It's for justified reasons, not just because you got to order pizza. And it's really important to know that if you do investigate us or make a report and it is investigated, if there's reasons to hold them accountable, they'll be held accountable. Logic 101 wants to know if there's no emergency, is it legal for a cop to block traffic if there is parking around the immediate vicinity? So this is probably in relation to, a police officer or police vehicle being parked in an area that has a no parking sign. I have a video up that has them blocking a bicycle lane. The problem is that we can park anywhere we need to park in order to respond to a call. And there's even an articulation or a thought process of being able to park even if there's no emergency call there, because if someone has to go get a bottle of water, for instance, best example, because I don't want to say coffee, but they need water. They need it. Should they park 3 blocks away where the most available spot is, go get their water and walk 3 blocks back? For the average person, that is the answer. But for a police officer who may be called to an emergency 5 seconds after they exit the car or 5 minutes after they exit the car and have to return to that vehicle, that's added that 5 minutes to being able to come and help a member of the public.
Additionally to that, you never know why they're there.
It's true.
They could be responding to a shoplifter at the mall and parked right out front, but they have to be able to transport that person should they need to. And walking, for 10, 15 minutes with a person in custody could be a higher risk.
Sure.
So we do it when we need to do it most times. And most of us are pretty good at not putting people at higher risk if we don't need to.
I think that's bang on. The Grinch is late to the party but says good morning all. It's been a while. Welcome back. I don't like Fords is their username. I do like Fords. I have a Ford. But here is, I was pulled over for speeding 1 kilometer over the speed limit because I was going downhill. Should I fight it? That's pretty rough. 1 kilometer over. It's technically illegal.
It is. Yeah.
I probably wouldn't charge you for 1 kilometer over, but being pulled over for 1 kilometer over the limit is different than being charged for 1 over. So were you charged? I'd be curious to know. You are technically speeding at 1 kilometer over.
Whether you're going downhill, uphill, no matter what you're doing. The speed limit is the limit.
Not a suggestion, not a minimum.
I just want to quick call out to Sergeant Kraft, who's listening in. He just texted me this morning. Thank you very much for that.
Yes. We just talked about this. What is the age of children to sit without a car seat? So 8 years old is the age. 80 pounds is the minimum. There's 3 factors. Any one of these 3 will allow them to sit legally without a car seat or a booster. 8 years old, 80 pounds, 4'9". But it doesn't mean that it's the safest thing or time. They could be 8 years old but be very petite, and at that point they should stay in a booster seat longer for their safety. Legal doesn't mean safe. It just means it's the legal. It's the legal. Is the OACP certification still required for becoming a police officer? Yes. Details of what that looks like now, I don't know anymore.
Yeah, it's changed a little bit recently, and it all depends on the police service as well. But I believe all of them in Ontario require the OACP certificate.
Interesting.
I believe so.
Yeah, it used to be physical included. I don't know if the physical is still part of the OACP.
Right.
In any case, check it out. If you go to tps.ca/careers, you can get more information. DJ MD250 wants to know if driving in Ontario and wearing AirPods is okay. There's nothing illegal about it in Ontario. In BC, I think it is illegal to cover both ears. But in Ontario, there's no requirement for hearing. You can be hearing impaired or have no hearing and still be able to get a license. There are a lot of people who do drive quite well without the ability to hear, but would you give up the ability to, get that early warning that you're afforded by your hearing? But if you listen to loud music, it's the same story.
Yep, absolutely.
You prevent yourself from hearing those wonderful tips. I got into a collision. I was hit by a car in 2018, and I can tell you that those screechy sounds made the hair on my arm stand up whenever I heard a car screeching in my direction. Not that I liked hearing it, but I really want to hear that early warning so you can make and respond and take tactical, make decisions to what's going to happen next.
You know what? Sometimes somebody blowing their horn is enough to wake you up to go, oh my goodness, I didn't see that person back there or that car back there, or I'm about to hit something. There's a benefit to being able to do that.
For sure.
I was struck by a car very, very lightly pulling into the police station parking lot. I pulled in and the car in front of me stopped and then started to reverse. I guess they didn't want to come into the police station parking lot.
Wrong door.
I hit the horn, and unfortunately, this gentleman was hearing impaired, and he just kept on going and right into the front of my car.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
Vintage Victoria says, please clear up the rules pertaining to cyclists cycling side by side or in the middle of the lane. Side by side is an interesting concept because you see packs of riders who are doing the endurance and athletic stuff, not just transportation, but they're training for stuff, and you see them in large packs. And I've heard the argument that A, they're traveling quite quickly, and B, well, and that causes an issue because some of them don't stop for stop signs, some of them. But if they're maintaining the flow of traffic, if they're going with the flow, they're technically entitled to the entire lane.
Yep.
If they cannot maintain the flow of traffic, then they have to be to the side of the road. Well, is it okay to be two abreast? Or must they be at the absolute right side of the road? Also, if there is debris or a risk or danger because of something that's there in the road, they're entitled to take the entire lane again.
Yeah.
And it also depends if there's other lanes. It's a more complex question, but side by side?
And motorists are obligated to provide the 1 meter safe distance around cyclists. And that is just for instances like that, where there's a pothole coming up, something on the roadway where they have to move out. It gives them a safe gap to operate. I don't think it's very courteous when they ride side by side. I don't normally drive side by side with my friends in another car doing that, blocking a lane. And then it puts higher risk at them as well.
Yeah. And then there's also, we had a lot of conversations about bicycles and what's legal. And there was an interesting thing that came up in conversation yesterday, and it was in relation to the 1 meter rule. It's 1 meter when passing, but there's no obligation to remain and leave 1 meter when you're stopping. If you were to pull up to an intersection and you were going to make the right turn and you pinch the curve because you're going to make sure you make that turn safely, you don't have to leave room for a bicycle to pass you while you're stopped. You have to leave room when you're passing them.
That's correct.
And it really, there's a lot of confusion. And this is why I think there should be more education for riders. But not everybody agrees with me. And it's mostly the riders who don't like it when I say that. Frank says, what does a yellow no left turn between 4 and 7 p.m. mean? Why yellow? Usually regulated signs are white. And it could be that is just a caution. Where is that?
Yeah. Are you able to maybe take a picture and maybe let us know? Or give us a location of it and we'll have a look.
Yeah, because generally speaking, yellow signs aren't enforceable, which begs the question is, why would it be yellow?
Generally, yellow signs are
cautionary
to advise you of something. Yeah.
So I'd love to know more. Oh no, the Grinch says he was late because he found out that his driver's license was expired and he wanted to make sure that we didn't pull him over.
Oh, that's a good thing to make sure. It's kind of good. They cause the expiry date to come up on a day that you may remember. Some day during the year that maybe is significant to you.
Like an anniversary?
Like an anniversary or maybe a birthday?
An anniversary of your birth.
Yes, there you go.
I have a speeding ticket in New York. And I've been pulled over by police. How can it import Ontario license? I don't know if I read that correctly. So you're an Ontario driver who went to New York, got a ticket there, and you want to know if we can see it here? Yeah, we have a reciprocal agreement with New York, with our bordering states. In fact, with this new age of computers and stuff,
yep.
We basically see everything all the time, regardless of where. The world has changed. 20 years ago, it was based on the reciprocal agreements. I think it's just open season of sharing information now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that includes criminal driving offenses as well. So an impaired driving offense down somewhere in the States may have consequences up here for you as well.
So yeah, it's bad. If you get points, the ministry here can apply points to your license based on the outcome of charges elsewhere, and if you're suspended elsewhere, you are going to be suspended here. Yep. Let's see here. We have Jamie Ann. The question is, why do people get pulled over for having a loud car? Why can't we enjoy our project cars? Well, Jamie, because we live in a community and we take care of one another, and it's all about getting along nicely. And it is truly something that impacts communities and makes life difficult for people. There are people who work nights and sleep during the day, and when you buzz the tower, you wake them up, and then they don't do well at work, or they get into a collision because they didn't sleep, or babies are sleeping. There's just so much. It's not just about you. It's about being a part of a community.
And really, what is it you enjoy about a loud car? Does your loud car make it go any faster? Does it change the handling of your car? No, it doesn't. It just makes it louder. That's all it does.
It's unnecessary for the safe operation of the vehicle.
Yep. And if you know anything about modifying cars, stuff like that, cars need back pressure. They need an exhaust back pressure unless they're built not to have it, which causes you to burn out your valves and things like that if you don't have it. So by opening up your exhaust, by limiting the back pressure that is put back into your, through your exhaust back into your cylinder heads, you're actually damaging your car.
Some cars do sound cool when they're loud. Not the obnoxious egg beater fart can sound, but some old school muscle cars sound cool.
Right, but there's a difference between loud
and cool
and
rumble.
A good rumble sound.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. In that like I can't even ride behind. Being a motorcycle rider, I don't like to ride behind Harleys that are loud. Even if they're not that loud and they're legal, they could be too loud. Yeah. I don't want to hear it, and there is a hearing impact. Some of these loud cars are so loud that you're actually damaging, or have the potential of damaging someone's hearing. It doesn't take a lot, and you may not notice it in the car because the pipe is behind you, polluting the noise to the community. But while you aren't damaging your hearing necessarily, you could be harming people as you pass by. People say, "Wow, it's just for a sec." No, you drive through, you hit the other one, you hit the next community, and it's a flash as you drive through the community, but you're doing damage. And we get so many complaints.
I rode with a snowmobiler once who had a pipe on his sled, and although it's illegal, he thought it was the coolest thing, and he loved to rev it and go around. I no longer ride with him.
Yeah.
Because you know what? He gave us a bad reputation. He rode at nighttime, so sometimes through communities, and he loved to just make it loud. Not the type of person I want to hang out with, and really not good for the industry of the sport, so I don't ride with them anymore.
100%. I have a friend. Well, I live in an area where there is a main street not that far away, and when I say not that far away, it's close to a kilometer, and I hear the cars being run and opened up in motorcycles, and I'm trying to sleep because I wake up early, so I'm going to bed around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and it's horrible. So that's me who can generally sleep anywhere, and I think about the people who are light sleepers. It's not fun. Project cars are cool. But
before you go on, I do have to skip out. I have an 11 o'clock meeting that I got to be on, so I'm glad that I was able to stop by. I'm glad I was able to make Sergeant Kraft's day.
Oh. But before you go, did you hear about the race car that stopped at a red light?
No.
It was breaking. It's breaking news. I don't mind that one. That's not bad.
Yeah, actually.
And then today's is, why did the student steal a chair? Because the teacher told her to take a seat.
Take care, everybody.
See you later. Okay, there was. Let's see here. We got where I gotta find it. Apparently, there's another. Is it an announcements? No, probably general, unless it's in jokes. So we have. I don't even know if I get this one. I'm reading here from Dustbin Dude. 3 people, one speaking English, one who spoke French, one who spoke Spanish, own cats that are named 1, 2, 3 in their respective languages. Each cat likes swimming Each cat likes swimming. Okay, we know this is not accurate already. And the people race them in a pond. 1, 2, 3 is first. 1, 2, 3 is second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The third one sank. Cinque. Okay, Dustman, dude, that was not the best joke. Is there a horsepower? I'm likely not pronouncing anything correctly. Is there a horsepower limit for street legal cars? Not that I'm aware of, but it must be street. It has to be street legal for other reasons, not necessarily the horsepower rating. You can have some pretty seriously powerful vehicles that are legal on the road. And of course, it was Michael said he wanted that joke to be heard by Sergeant Kent. We'll revisit this offline when he's back from his meeting. Your boy Pity says, what is the law against wearing earplugs while driving? There is no law against wearing earplugs while driving, similarly to wearing headphones. The Velocitor says, is it illegal to force the advanced green left turn signal? How do you mean force it? Like sit on the pad to do it? if you're waiting for, depends on where you're positioning your vehicle for stop at right place, maybe, but that's usually if you cross the line. Okay. We have basically, you cannot read French. No, I cannot read French. No, I can't read French. Send me a voice file. Trois, quatre, cinq. I don't know. I spent more time speaking Spanish than I did ever speaking French. What is this? Speeding cameras are inaccurate. Why was it removed from certain areas and not removed in all? Why are speeding cameras inaccurate? They have radar that are certified, and you can look at their certifications. What do you mean? What you mean? You're alleging that something is so, but I need more information. Law for bike racks isn't clear. Can you explain? I've seen police cars with bikes blocking plate. The law about blocking your plate is clear. Are those police vehicles in violation? Yes, they are. You cannot block your plate. Are they doing it? Yes. This is true. I've been discussing the fact that they should have plate relocation kits installed to be compliant. It might be because the vehicles are clearly marked and they don't think it's an issue, but whatever the case is, it's being brought to the attention of those involved. It is not. It is violating that particular charge. So you cannot do it. They should not be doing it. Can you... Touching on regulatory signs versus cautionary signs, can you still be charged? If it's not a regulated sign, charges shouldn't be, it should not be enforceable. So white signs that are clearly listed that are the enforceable ones, unless it's specifically stated in the HTA. Which is the joke. Okay. Is there anything wrong with going to another province, avoiding to take a G drive test? If you're living there and you get it issued there and then you move back, there's nothing that I'm aware of that would prevent you from doing that. That would be a lot of work just to avoid a G test. And Michael, I'm going to have to create a folder or a group for jokes so I can actually find everything, because I don't know which other one you're talking about. Is there another one that you're talking about? Okay. We are out of time, but it's been a blast. It went long. I am tired, and thus I am going offline now. But we will be back tomorrow from... actually, wait. We have someone who doesn't like that we do this. Do you get paid for this segment by taxpayer dollars, or do you do this on your own time as a volunteer? Both. This particular segment, I am on duty and working for the service, being paid by tax dollars, because I'm a police officer who's a media relations officer and traffic educator. So I actually am being paid right now. Now, more often than not, I work through my lunch, so I guess it all balances out. But this is something I do as part of my job. Now, when I'm at home and I'm answering questions, that's volunteering. So I guess I do both. In any case, I appreciate the question. It's a reasonable one, and that's why I acknowledged it. It's nothing. We have some people who are really upset that we do this, even though we are talking to thousands of people every day. And I say thousands of people because just on TikTok alone, we've had 3,595 people on here so far, and we used to have 40,000 people in the lives. I guess we answered all their questions. But we do this. We go on the radio. We're on multiple platforms. You're on YouTube right now, but we're on Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, multiple accounts on Twitter. We're on even Kick, the new platform, which is pretty cool. But it's very new. And I don't know if there's even, and we might be the only police service on Kick. I don't know. Do we get an award for that? In any case, we do this because we want to help people. We want to answer questions. And I completely neglected McGinn's, who had a question. The question is, we have a local school crossing that is not located at a junction with a stop sign. Obviously, we stop when a crossing guard is there, but do we have right-of-way outside of school hours? when there's no guard there. If there's a crosswalk, it's a crosswalk. So you have to stop for a crosswalk. If there's someone who puts their hand out and says they want to cross, you're supposed to stop for them. That was the question for the crosswalk. And then I'm going back to saying goodbye. Yes, kick. So speaking of this, Grinch, what is your take on Kick? Are you a supporter? Apparently, Twitch is not doing good things for their creators, so it doesn't affect us, but it affects other people, and we want to be where the people are. Eating while driving. Does it fall under distracted driving? Not in Ontario, but in other places it does. Like BC, apparently you can't drink or eat because it is bad. And it is a distraction. It could lead to a collision, and that would be careless driving. Okay. And Grinch supports Kick. Cool. Very nice. Here's the traffic song to say goodbye. We've been doing this for an hour and 35 minutes, and it is time to say goodbye, but we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Have a good one. Be safe. Drive sober.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I don't get tired of that song. I actually really enjoy it. I'm a little biased. I recorded it. I didn't record it. I did record it. I pressed record. See? And totally acknowledging Kitchener. No, I at first I thought you were, and I get that you weren't, and I totally appreciate you clarifying. But no, we have some people who really dislike the fact that the police are here doing community engagement. Yeah, we're good. Sorry if I suggested that you were upset when you weren't. But I appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you again. Please follow, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.